Good evening, fellow. I don't know what to call you, fellow anime enthusiasts, gooners. I don't really know how to address y'all. Okay, so there is a lot to go over tonight. Like it's a huge chunk of information to go over. I got a bunch of articles and stuff. This is probably going to end up running longer than I want, but whatever. Um I didn't really give a good breakdown of everything that we're going to be covering, but obviously we have a couple of anime and manga announcements to talk about right off the bat. And then we're going to move on from that on into a little bit of talk about some Uma Musume controversy that has been taking certain parts of the internet by well, not by storm. It's just sort of like little annoying, like gnats sort of poking around in a fandom and causing problems because they don't like artwork that someone created. Um, we have some moral debate over whether it is, in fact, okay for you to let someone die due to their political beliefs. Yeah. Some talk about anime music, the discussion of a Japanese populist party that happens to have a penchant for censoring anime and their upcoming elections and what that's probably going to mean. I can close that tab. Cool. Oops. Hold on a second. Where is it? Hello there, General Kenobi. I can't do a good Grievous impression, honestly. So yeah, music talk. We have the Japanese party that wants to cause problems. A Shonen Jump editor throwing shade at Attack on Titan. A manhwa getting canceled for plagiarism. Some final words from the creator of T-Bait. And then a bunch of gooner shit at the end, both pro and anti. And some random other news that proves people are utterly fucking stupid. I don't need that tab. Good. And I guess I will leave that there just in case we need to talk about anything. Anyway, we have Marcel in the chat. I do not want anyone to die. I am, pro living for everyone, except for people who commit heinous, horrible crimes. And Rolando Ramirez, because I can't roll my R's properly to speak Spanish. And that's why I had such a hard time in my college classes with that language. I don't judge people for political beliefs. I judge by how they look. Respectable. Always judge a book by its cover. Because sometimes you can tell exactly what the book is going to be like just by its cover. All right, let's get into this. So, the first thing to talk about tonight is Mushoku Tensei officially being confirmed for spring anime of 2026. So, this was confirmed in the financial documentations produced by Toho. So we do have an official date now for when this is going to release. And a lot of people started doom posting about how this is going to be bad for the show and they don't have enough time. It's not going to work out. Well, I mean, it's longer than the time period between season 1 and 2. That's for damn sure. People have already done the math on that. I've seen all the I've already seen all of the peoples talk about the math on how many months it took between each one and do the whole breakdown and all that. And yeah, you know the rigmarole. Either way, we do have an official date for one of the best isekai to grace the world. And that's all I really have to say on that because we have already talked about the trailer. I've already gone over it. It is now officially, we have a confirmed date. Another one that we'll talk about for anime is Mao TV anime officially announced. So the release date will be spring of 2026, yet again, by Studio Sunrise. It is a supernatural action mystery by Rumiko Takahashi. If you don't know, that is Inuyasha, Ranma and a Half, and Urusei Yatsura. And this is about a girl time leaping to the early 20th century Taisho era Japan, where she teams up with a cursed exorcist to investigate various supernatural incidents while looking for the cat demon that put a curse on the exorcist boy. So this will be interesting. Turns out that the creator here is pretty prolific and has written a couple pretty high profile series. I mean, I hear a lot about Inuyasha, Ranma, and Urusei Yatsura. A lot of these are ones that I have heard quite a bit about from a lot of people in the anime community. So I'm curious to see how this is going to turn out. Also, this being pre-World War II Japan is probably going to be interesting because they say early 20th century. You're like, it'll be interesting to see how they do like some of the imperialist stuff that's going on in this time period as Japan is prepping for its invasions of the surrounding areas and their eventual fucky wucky where they touched America's boats. And look, if you know anything about world history, you do not fuck with American boats. It's just not a good idea ever. Um, but yeah, that's all I have seen insofar as anime news goes. There are a couple of other announcements that have been put out there. Um, so here is one that's kind of a rumor. I'm not sure how true it is, but there is apparently a Bleach live action adaptation in the works at Warner Bros., according to an ex employee at Viz Media. It has reportedly been in talks since 2006. Looking forward to it. I really like Inuyasha and Ranma, so I will check that out as well. Yeah, I've liked everything that I've seen so far. Like, I enjoyed Ranma. I don't think it's the most amazing thing. But anyway, back to Bleach live action. I think trusting American companies to do live action versions of of like Japanese properties is terrible. And of course, there is a source here, but I don't really want to get too much into this because it really is just kind of a rumor, a leak. It does make sense because there is a Naruto live action that we do know about, written by of all people Tasha Huo. Fuck that. She wrote one episode for The Witcher Blood Origin. That was her writing credit at the time, and since then she has only been on disaster after disaster after disaster. Either way, American live action adaptations do not have a good record of being good adaptations. The only one that even approaches really a passable mark was, of course, the always mentioned one that happens, One Piece live action. One that I actually did enjoy, though I did have my gripes about how canonical it was and how good it did certain things. I didn't like that there were certain elements that were out of order and all that, and certain things that they ended up doing with that show. But I thought it was overall a good production. But they had Eiichiro Oda directly involved in this. I do not know how involved Tite Kubo will be with this production. So I don't have a whole lot of faith in, the ability to create a live action anime adaptation. Speaking of anime live action adaptations, one that will probably be even worse, Netflix is doing a live action Solo Leveling. A live action Solo Leveling. This is the guy that they have cast to play as Sung Jin Woo, or however you want to pronounce that, Jin Woo. I forget the exact pronunciation. Korean is a language I don't know a whole lot about. Which, little side tangent, I have actually considered just taking classes on a bunch of languages because that's always been something I've been very interested in, is just language in general. Go full Tolkien and learn a bunch of different languages and then just use it to write books for the rest of my life. That'd be great. Anyway, Solo Leveling is one that does thrive off of the flair of the dramatic flair of action in its series. The flashing lights, the hype moments, all that stuff. It really does benefit from being an anime in that regard. It takes full advantage of the capabilities of the studios producing it. I don't see a live action living up to the hype fights. Especially, yes, I do agree, Rolando. I don't trust Netflix with this one bit either. It particularly because it is Netflix. I have an issue with it, especially after what they did to their Kakegurui adaptation that they called Bet, which technically the name Kakegurui does kind of mean that Bet. It's kind of the interpretation, but it just sounds better in Japanese than just Bet. Either way, Netflix ain't exactly doing amazing. Also, hello to RCS Rules. Appreciate you being here. How am I doing? Fairly well. Mostly just trying to survive the humidity produced by the millions of cornfields around me here in Illinois. Millions might be an overstatement, but it does get real fucking humid out here during this part of the year. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out, and I might end up watching it because it is a series I am familiar with, and I read the manhwa, I watch the anime, so I may end up just watching this to see how well it actually compares to the whole thing. Either way, I think it's going to be meh at its best, given Netflix's track record of being like, I don't know, 7 disasters in one decent series. Yeah. They need the OG writers and author from the manhwa creator. And author and the creator for the manhwa is dead. Insofar as the Solo Leveling sequel, it's actually being produced right now. Solo Leveling Ragnarok is a running series, from what I understand. Anyway, the more I think about it, the less I have faith in Netflix's ability to adapt a live action. I completely forgot that Cowboy Bebop live action happened. There's Avatar: The Last Airbender that happened. If I'm not mistaken, there's also the terrible Death Note live action that happened. Kakegurui. That's 4 right there that they have terribly messed up with their adaptations. But I digress. We have one more new series to announce, and this is actually a manga, and one that proves a bit of an interesting point. And I have talked a little bit about this, about how Japan has a very strange subsect that is really, really into America's Wild West era. They really seem to enjoy the cowboys and Indians westward expansion part of American history. And this I offer up as a second piece of proof alongside Marshall King. So here we have a very, very weird, interesting series. So, Abraham Lincoln Wild West Revenge Action Gilded 7, Volume 1 by No Guns Life creator Tatsuko Karasuma. Historical action about a police officer hunting down the La Llorona Mexican crime cartel. After catching a bunch of high-ranking members, suddenly a Yellowstone volcano erupts, and the cop time leaps to the 19th century, Wild West, a few days after Lincoln got assassinated. He steps into a gruesome scene of Native Americans getting slaughtered, but suddenly the supposedly dead Abraham Lincoln appears and kills the attackers. Kind of baffles me how they effed up Kakegurui and Death Note that are fairly easy to make. Certainly much easier than One Piece. I do believe that like a lot of these are pretty easy because you have the whole blueprint in front of you. You have a whole series. Either way, the whole concept of this is it just feels batshit insane, and I have to know. I have to know how this is. I'm kind of curious. Where can I read Gilded Seven? You can find it on manga decks apparently. Gilded Seven manga. Yep, you can find it on manga decks. So that's where you can find this one. I guess it doesn't have an official publication. Weird. Either way, um, the cover art here that they're showing, um, I do like. The concept is insane, and that's kind of my kind of thing. So I really just want to know what the heck they're going to do with this. I think it sounds wild enough to be insanely entertaining. And I always like me some Wild West stuff. Some good old gunslingers and all that. So, all right, let's move on to the first part of the Idiocracy for tonight. Um, so Uma Musume. That's what we're going to start with. Uma Musume, horse girls. Apparently, they are controversial. I could tell he loves ass from some of the stuff he drew in No Guns Live. Okay. Let's begin. So, it all starts with a meme about one of the additions to the whole cast, I believe called Gold Ship is the character's name. So this thing here, this woman, this horse girl is based on a racehorse turned breeding stallion um who was known for being an absolute troll and throwing races and being rude and all that. So, um basically the whole meme centers around the fact that apparently Gold Ship became a very prolific breeding stallion, had a lot of progeny that went on to be decent racehorses. So a lot of people started making this meme of like radar alert, Papa signal detected, and started drawing art and stuff like this. And of course, that attracted family hating communists Okay, so here's the post that sort of starts the fuckery. So, bleep, I'm detecting some trace amounts of H-man particles here. You gotta be careful. Small trace amounts can attract some small H-lerites, which then congregate. Here, I recommend some woke pills. A few queer and BLM supplements should help enough or bring the particles down. I'm pretty sure I don't need to explain to you why this is fucking insane. But okay. Sure. Let's roll with it. So seriously, this is the problem that a lot of people will run up to when it comes to shipping in any anime community is you have people like this who if it's not like something that they like, they automatically start passing the it's a fascist thing around. It gets even better because someone else also drew some artwork for this one. So we'll share this one instead. So they drew full color with like a bunch of kids. So here we have the screenshot and this one. This is going to be real popular with that crowd. I hate hetero slop. The person responds, "No way, me hetero slop." Oh god. Okay, and this is effectively where things go. I think I posted some more in Discords. Um, that actually talked a little that like covered a little bit more of what the fuck was going on in here. I think oh yeah, here is another one that I found of this very picture that I'm sharing here. I pulled it up in Discord. I won't share it or anything, but I can read it off to you because that's all I would really end up doing. Must be so amazing to be a dude and have fantasies like this. Your poor wife has to do all the work birthing and feeling like shit while you get the cute crowd of kids without any effort. No hate to the artist, just had some thought. I don't know why it is that this became so controversial. The whole meme around this character is that the horse, the racehorse that they're based off of, has a lot of progeny, has a lot of kids. So the fandom was like, you know what? They've already incorporated this horse's personality. I hope I didn't freeze there too terribly bad. That we've already incorporated this horse's personality a ton. So why don't we just go with the whole thing about like, they retired and now they have a bunch of kids. And somehow that pissed off factions on the internet because apparently family is a bad thing. It's misogynist, it's fascist, it's evil because, well, reasons. And this is why I've mentioned this before. I think a few times. But the left has created the American left has created in the United States an entire counterculture that is like completely okay with being associated with Nazis or even like using Nazi symbolism and language and like some of the same talking points and viewpoints on things because of they become so comfortable with this because the left has done stuff like this. They have called having a family fascist. They have called wanting kids and a good home life sexist and misogynist. And it always comes from people who like seem to just, have had a terrible time with their own family and just hated them and assumed that like everyone hates their family. The funniest thing is I don't even really see a lot of like the Uma Musume fandom looting these horses or doing anything else. This is the big meme that I see come across my feed is all of the stuff about Gold Ship. And this is one tiny part of the whole legend of Gold Ship. The post-retirement breeding thing. not much different in Europe. The world hardly has any meaning at this point. I wish we hadn't gotten to the point where Nazi had no real sting to it. Because, well, I don't think I need to say it, but they were. They're probably some of the worst people to have ever lived. And now we've bred up an entire counterculture where it is considered cool and based to LARP as Nazis because people hate families and think that they're fascist or whatever. That's fucking insane. I'm sorry. This was so dumb. And of course, this person doubled down because a few people in the comments actually decided here, I'll bring this back up to use images like this. And it's likely because they were prompted to by some subtle suggestion from this whole post. I guarantee you, if they hadn't mentioned fascism or the H-man in here at all, people likely would not have responded with any of these images because it wouldn't have crossed their minds. They do not, everyone does not assume or does not associate the family with fascism. There are a couple more in here. Here's another one. I'm actually going to download that image. Hold on a second. Save image as fuck. There we go. So a lot of people are here, likely just to troll them because they mentioned, the H-man. So they're going to go and, use that shit. And of course, this person then gets to pretend like, well, see, I was proven right because everyone's using H-man stuff in my comments to come at me, even though I'm the one who called them Nazis in the first place. Therefore, I was right. They are all fascists. This is what you get when you post innocent art about a horse girl and her daughter. Fucking losers. And by the way, it would be one thing to joke about shit like, the Third Reich with your friends and all that, to make like offensive jokes with people who you actually have a good relationship with. It's a completely different thing to go to the internet and start fucking around with that stuff because, well, you're gonna, yeah. It's stupid. Yeah. Either way, horse girls should not be this controversial. We should not have a problem of making jokes about big families and anime girls because some people interpret it as sexist or fascist. Oh. I still love the word hetero slop. I gotta fucking laugh at that because, like, you mean like natural biological reproduction? Anyway, if you haven't gotten your dose of brain rot yet, we have yet another person to talk to embarrass, pretty much, to shame. Because this guy seems to think that he is tough shit now because he made a comic that pissed off MAGA, apparently. But he has a whole video explaining his position here. I wonder what he could possibly have to say.
So let's talk about this. I make comic strips, and in this one, I portray myself as Superman. I hear a guy hanging off a building. He needs to be rescued. I'm getting ready to jump into action. As soon as I hear he's MAGA, I decide not to help. It's satire. Most of my comic strips are. Hours after posting this on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, I get over 30,000 likes, 1 million views. Everything's going good. Then all of a sudden, my engagement is halted. Why? Because I get this. This
Okay, so let's be clear here. This is the very first post. I actually went and checked. This is the very first post in this guy's like whole Twitter account that got anywhere that got above I don't a few hundred likes. Like there are a couple of posts he has that have like 140 likes or 200 likes. Um and then he gets one that has that gets a lot more engagement than usual because it's politically motivated and spiteful. And I'll show you some of the arguments he gets into in the comments here to show you what kind of person this dude is. But this is his 5 minutes of fame, so he's gonna fucking milk it.
Post.
Oh, and he then posts this video to try and defend himself from everyone saying you are an immoral scumbag for being completely fine with letting someone die because they have a different political leaning than you.
May violate X's rules against hateful
I hope you guys can hear this all right.
conduct. Really? Really? First of all, I'm very open about my political views in my illustrations, whether it's supporting my preferred presidential candidate, whether it's me making fun of RFK Jr., me doing artwork for the Washington Post, or my very first viral illustration inspired by Childish Gambino's This Is America, in which I address police brutality in this illustration. I do want to say I don't believe that all Republicans are bad, the same way that I don't believe all Democrats are good. However, I am anti MAGA. This is a very interesting group of people. Now, back to the comic strip.
So they're not all bad, but you're willing to just assume that they are bad and not give the benefit of the doubt to the guy whose life is in danger.
We've seen way worse on social media that
You literally have no proof to say he's one of the bad ones in this. You're just making the assumption. You literally all like have just heard of this guy, and the first thing you hear about him is, oh, he's MAGA, and your immediate assumption is, ah, no, he's not worth saving because he's MAGA.
hasn't gotten flagged. Hell, I shot SpongeBob. Now, me getting called a monkey doesn't get flagged. Me getting called the N word numerous times doesn't get flagged.
Also, let's just be, blunt here. Anyone who's using situations like this to go out and spam racial slurs at people is a fucking loser too. Okay? If your first impression to someone, regardless of what he has said here, okay? Regardless of that, I don't think anyone is justified in going out and hurling racial slurs at him or, um calling him really anything other than a, disgusting immoral person. Like that's also bad. I'm not a fan of people going out and using the N-word against people just because they have a different they have a shitty view like this. As if any of those things even compares with the "I think you deserve to die" message. I'm curious here. Some of the look, the whole monkey thing with the Obamas. That's I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. Making jokes about Kamala Harris and her start into politics. Fair enough. Okay. Homophobic. I can't really read what's going on there, and I don't know if I really want to try. Oh. It's just a okay. Like what? Don't tell me you're gonna feed me the line about the fine people on both sides because guess what? That's been debunked halfway to the moon and back. Here's the difference, dude. You said they're not worth saving. The difference is they may make jokes, but if you were in trouble, they wouldn't give a fuck. You're still a human being to them, and they would likely, 99% of the time, do their best to help you out and save you. Because guess what? They don't want you dead. Okay. Oh, I forgot to finish that out. To bring that to play the rest of that. I'm terribly sorry.
Chance to. However, these are the same people who love to make jokes and memes that are racist,
I
sexist,
think we got through
and they
that.
worship an orange master who says some of the most vile things you would ever hear come out of the mouth of a president. But make fun of them and they become upset, offended, they go nuts, and completely lose their. And they call us the snowflakes. Also, this guy's not about to die. He's just going to land really hard and have to pull himself up by his bootstraps.
You think that's a great joke, don't you? Also, hello there, Gorilla Mar. So let me just be very clear here. So this is at least a three-story building. At least a three-story building. And the way this guy is falling, he's not gonna die. Yeah, well, let me be blunt with you here. Those windows and that spacing there, as a construction worker, let me tell you, that's probably above 30 feet. That guy will die. Well, I made the comic. I know. Well, maybe draw it better, you fucking mong. Okay. So here's the thing: is a lot of people make nasty jokes about people on the internet. I get it. Okay, it's a thing. Not like I particularly defend it, but not a lot of them make jokes about killing people or letting them get fucking horribly injured when they had the power to do it. Yes, actually, this because YouTube decided to fuck over content creators. And just watching the stream apparently isn't enough. Hit the like button, or else your view doesn't actually count. Hit the like button, or I'll steal your dog. Okay. His whole joke in all of this is basically, um, sorry, random messages and stuff just popped up. I gotta find my way back. Okay, here we go. And I will bring this back up. So basically, this guy's whole thing is, oh, well, I'm just going to assume the worst about you and let you get horribly injured at the best. So here we have John A. Douglas, who I have had some exchanges with. He has a book out called The Black Crown. and he was subject to a lot of the memery of the indie comic space over the whole Orc City thing. If you were familiar with that, yeah, that's basically where this originated from, is John A. Douglas. So let's start here. So he said, "Yeah, I can't imagine why I can't imagine why saying people you politically disagree with deserve to die wouldn't be met with fawning adoration, you wall-eyed retard." Hmm. So here we have him responding, instead of coming at a guy with an actual book deal, you should focus more on your whack ass 2.5 out of 5 star novel that's so trash you had to mark it down because no one wanted to buy your bullshit. John is an indie author. I'm pretty sure he's self published. He does all of this by marketing it himself. So he doesn't have a whole industry behind him. And like I said, another pussy ass keyboard warrior who'd never say this to my face. I mean, I'd tell you you're a fucking loser to your face. All the authorial dick measuring contests in the world wouldn't take back that the entirety of this site sees you as an immoral, unjust avatar of political brain rot that you are. Cope, sir, and seethe. I'm an asshole, but you'll always be a loathsome wretch. Dude, I'm great, and so are the 100 plus K people who liked my comic. Yeah, you got one comic that actually, got a decent amount of views. So here, going back in time, he has 31,000 followers, 5K, one like, 55 likes, 33K. Here's the actual comic, 86K, 25K, 10K, 53 likes. The other comic again, 33K, 17K. Here we go. 727 likes. 31 likes. 7 likes. 128 likes. 107 likes. 3 likes. 13 likes. 4 likes. 14 likes. 22 likes. This guy got basically no engagement up to this point. He was a nobody up to this point. And he made a comic that appealed to a lot of people who hate MAGA. And people who are pro MAGA decided that they were going to, not take that shit. Anyway, so that's just to counter his 100 plus people who like my comic. My content booms. Not enough, apparently. My projects sell. Meanwhile, you spent 10 years writing a 700-page novel that no one wants to read. That's got to hurt. Now leave me alone and go worry about getting your YouTube page back. I've had bowel movements that boom harder than your dyed in the wool basic bitch shit lib chicken scratch. You're just you're so unbothered by me that you're digging through my Twitter history for ammo about when all I need is the urinary infection you call your opinion. This is your wordsmithing in action. No wonder your books don't sell. Also, no dye, all natural. Black don't crack, my guy. Also, Googled you in 2 seconds and saw you and your book suck. Anywho, about enjoy some margaritas, have fun with another non-bestseller. To point out something about John A. Douglas's book score, this may have something to do with his ongoing feud with Comicsgate. He has been very vocal against Comicsgate, and that may or may not have led to some people brigading the book just out of a sense of loyalty to Comicsgate. That is a possible theory, okay? Whether you like or don't like Comicsgate, this is how people behave, okay? I have seen everyone fight like this. He got he got likes and views and thinks that leads to money. We've seen this before. Yeah, he's had his 5 minutes of fame because he tried to do the whole appeal to the political hate train. It attracted people who are spiteful and politically motivated, and he took that as success. It would be like me thinking I'm a big shot in the anime community because I had one video go to like 40,000 views. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. The fact is that you're saying that if you had the power to save people, you would use it to discriminate against people whose political opinions you don't like because you see them as evil. Why? I don't know. Those same people would not hate on you outside of you going out of your way to call them evil. That being said, like I insinuated earlier, if you're going to go and use this as an excuse to call him racial slurs and to beat up on him and all that and like continually harass him, ignore the dude. He wants the controversy because it's the only engagement he gets. The political spite is the only thing that seems to really matter to him. Just ignore him. No racial slurs, no harassment, no violence, please. Just move on. Don't give him the time of day again because we know the kind of person he is. Someone who will judge you based solely on the fact that you're affiliated with a group in some way and will not give you a second chance to possibly be one of the good ones that he admitted exists. He is perfectly willing to just dismiss a person because they profess a certain political belief and not take the chance that, hey, maybe I can do something and turn this person's life around, or maybe my act of kindness and humanity will will shine a new light on things. That being said, we're going to move on now because that's all we really have to say on that subject matter. The dude's opinion is dog shit. His belief that MAGA is somehow evil is stupid. It's like most other political groups. It's largely a bunch of, average people who align with some of the policies to some extent. And then, of course, you have your few bad nuts and stuff in there and the psyops and all that kind of stuff. It would be like me saying, hey, Black Lives Matter has been kind of, responsible for a lot of riots in the past. Like they've led to a lot of damage, Summer of Love and all that stuff. Therefore, any and everyone involved with Black Lives Matter is probably a rioter and a looter and a thug. That would be a completely unfair judgment on my part. My dress up darling. Yes, Superman would slap him for his way of thinking. Superman wouldn't think twice about saving someone because that is who he is. And to use that symbol to push this sort of political message is a large reason why he got so much flack for it. Because Superman was basically the symbol of no matter who you are or what you're doing, I will still try to save you if I believe your life is worth saving or if I can save it. All right. So let's shine a bit of a spotlight on some Japanese politics. Our first article of the night comes from automaton.com. Japanese political party wants video games and anime to be put under state authority to make sure they're wholesome and people are angry. A Japanese populist party participating in upcoming collections is receiving backlash for its stance on games, anime, and manga. Ahead of Japan's July 20th elections, a populist opposition party called Sanseito has garnered much confusion and criticism from Japanese people online over proposed political measures related to video games, anime, and manga. Well, Sanseito is a minority party. Based on the current forecast, it is expected to capture a significant number of seats in Japan's House of Councilors. So they are a minority. If I remember correctly, this is we've talked about Sanseito before. I'm kind of curious to see what this is. Okay, so it looks like they're expected to move up from like I don't let's see. I'm gonna read through this really quick here. Actually, let's share this. So this is what they're drawing from. So ruling coalition projected to lose majority in upper house. Okay, so the ruling coalition of the Liberal Democratic Party and Komeito will likely lose its majority in the July 20th upper house election. LDP is expected to win about 34 seats and Komeito about 9, including proportional representations of seats. Those seats, combined with the party's 75 seats not up for election, would give the coalition 118, short of the minimum of 125 needed to maintain its majority in the 248 seat Diet Chamber. The coalition lost its majority in the lower house in the election held in October last year. So let's see if they will talk about Sanseito. Sanseito, which has just one seat up for re-election, will likely capture about 7 seats. Okay, so that does put it in perspective. This party is about to get less than 3% of the entire house of the Diet. Anyway, so there we go. That does explain a little bit of what we're dealing with. Either way, this is an official Japanese party, even if it is just a minority one. On its official homepage, Sanseito highlights Japan's entertainment industry, specifically anime, manga, and video games, as a core industry that generates yearly revenue comparable to the country's semiconductor exports. Sanseito says that these forms of media go beyond entertainment, becoming important tools for Japan's cultural diplomacy and international influence. As such, the party intends to support the industry's expansion through several measures. Some of these proposed strategies are similar to what the government's Cool Japan initiative has already been talking about in recent years, such as investing in the education of human resources, improving work conditions for creators, and supporting businesses in entering the global market. Ugh. Read proper, dude. However, there is one distinct point in Sanseito's strategy that's been causing an uproar. Their last proposed measure is delegating authority to the agent of cultural affairs to ensure the wholesome development of manga, anime, and games as culture, rather than judging their value based on economic rationale. This statement has promoted criticism both of how ambiguous it is, not specifying what delegating authority actually involves, and for how it suggests the state should be involved in monitoring how wholesome games and anime are. The latter is seen as a threat to freedom of expression by many Japanese commentary on X. I thought all this talk about Sanseito's proposal to transfer authority over manga, games, and anime to the state had to be some kind of misinterpretation, so I went to their site to check for myself. They really are saying that. What the hell do they think creators are? What do they mean by delegating authority? The rights to creative works belong to the creators, not to the state. Copyright is an inviolable right of creators who have put blood, sweat, and tears into their works. Don't just delegate this right to third parties of your own accord. Also, I won't stand for being judged about what constitutes wholesome development. The value of entertainment, wherein it be anime, games, or music, can only be determined by the consumers. There is not a single creator who would hand over the authority over their creative works to the state. While many of these responses mention copyright too, it is important to note that Sanseto's policy does not explicitly mention the transfer of copyright to the states. Nonetheless, the party's stance on regulating entertainment appears to have dealt them a negative blow, particularly as it comes in a time when sensitivity towards censorship among games and anime fans is on the rise. So, this is kind of a worrying sentiment to see coming out of Japan, but put into perspective, it would be like saying, I don't know. It would be like basically the Green Party winning 3 seats, winning, I don't know, 7 seats in the House of Representatives. Sure, it's kind of wild that a third party did something like that. It's actually more wild for it to be here in the United States, considering we're a two-party system and they have a bunch of things in place to, make sure that they maintain their power and all that, because nobody else can run as a third party, and that would ruin the uniparty. Anyway, Japan is a multi-party system. So it's not unusual to have a bunch of minority houses. So basically, imagine in the U.S., this would be like the Green Party winning a couple seats in the House of Representatives. That's effectively what you're looking at here. I do not think that this is a huge problem. A lot of people seem to be blowing it out of proportion simply because like they didn't read the stats on what it is actually like, the number of seats that they're going to gain or they're projected to win. If it were a bigger number, I'd probably be more concerned. It is a concerning trend that more and more people in Japan the more and more officials across the world in general seem to want to start like designating what is acceptable. But I do not see that as like the big evil that everyone was, sort of clickbaiting it out to be. All right, let's go here with our next article. So, just one anime song makes Apple's top 500 streamed songs ever. 7 JP artists feature. In celebration of Apple Music's 10th anniversary, having launched in June 30th, 2015, the platform revealed its top 500 most streamed songs, featuring just one anime song, Idol by Yoasobi. If any song is going to do that, it's going to be this one. This one had huge, like cultural, had a huge cultural influence. 7 Japanese artists are featured overall. You can check them and their songs out below. So yeah. Oh wow, Yoasobi placed twice. That's interesting. Voundy got on there. That's and King New and Mr. Green Apple. I recognize a couple of these. So I like Mr. Green Apple. I'm actually a kind of a fan of Yoasobi. Like I listen to a lot of their music actually. Oh, wait, they placed 3 times. Man, Yoasobi fucking popped off. They got 3 songs on the top 500 ever. I'm impressed. Marigold by Aimyon. Official Hige Dandism. So top 10 most streamed songs overall. Shape of You, Ed Sheeran, Blinding Light by The Weeknd, God's Plan, Sunflower, Rockstar, Sicko Mode, Perfect, No Guidance, and Bad Guy. I think I have heard one of these. Other recent Japanese streaming successes include Mr. Green Apple, listed above, becoming the first J-pop act to hit 10 billion streams in Japan across its catalog. Okay. In March, also became the first Japanese act in history to receive a double diamond certificate from the RIAJ for Yoru ni Kakeru. Who just fucking messaged me? What the fuck are these tards doing? Rolo, I'm fucking. You can't send me a message when I'm fucking streaming. Okay, whatever the hell. Well, while anime serves as a gateway for many into Japanese music and broader culture, the lack of its direct influence on Apple Music's top songs may be good news to some industry figures who worry that pinning Japanese music expansion on anime is the wrong move. Okay. Either way, I wanted to bring that up. Yeah, the song is fantastic. Like I still listen to it to this day, and I've been adding more and more Yoasobi to my playlist because I just like their music. That song went everywhere. But next up on the list is a very interesting article where we have people taking shots at Attack on Titan for very interesting reasons. So let's get into this. Even a child can do it. Shonen Jump editor calls out Attack on Titan as just making a lot of noise. Kazuhiko Torishima, former editor-in-chief of Weekly Shonen Jump, took a swipe at Attack on Titan during a press meeting at Japan Expo 2025. Claiming that despite its global buzz, the manga ultimately failed to have a lasting impact in sales. As reported by DBZ, Torishima critiqued Attack on Titan for being complex and failing to engage readers long term. Creating a character is a simple thing. Even a child can do it, he stated. He cited his conversation with a German publisher who said Attack on Titan made a lot of noise while it aired, but its manga sales quickly fell off once the anime ended. In contrast, he highlighted Dragon Ball and Naruto as examples of manga that continue to sell consistently even years after their anime adaptations concluded. This is a lethal article, and I may just send it to him and like tell him, "Hey, next time you talk to Ivan, bring this up." That would be fucking funny. Even years after the anime adaptation concluded. I think part of that is probably the controversy over the ending. I know not a lot of people really liked it. And who knows? It'll be so fucking funny. I really want to see Ivan's take on this. But like the dude has fucking ninja vanished off the fucking planet. Anyway, Torishima noted that both Dragon Ball and Naruto took readers on engaging journeys through the eyes of their main characters. I would argue that Attack on Titan does the exact same. And this was part of their undying appeal. In Dragon Ball and Naruto, readers experience the world through the character's eyes, he explained. It's not so much about the story itself, but the fact that the reader is taken on a journey by the character. Okay, I would argue that would still apply to Attack on Titan. According to the former editor, this simple structure allowed both children and adults to be equally captivated with the story. He further emphasized his point using an interesting analogy. We drink Coke and Orangina because they taste good, but when we're thirsty, we drink water. So I would argue that like everything he said about the other manga can be applied to Attack on Titan. The difference is Attack on Titan is a much more mature story, and not a lot of people are okay with introducing their, children to it or are interested in getting a younger audience. Yes, Attack on Titan is much more seinen. Shonens have a lot of appeal, particularly with Dragon Ball, and you're talking about Dragon Ball and Naruto, which are two of the most prolifically loved anime that are out there. I don't think this is a fair comparison. Naruto is largely responsible for popularizing anime, and Dragon Ball is one of the most iconic creations of all time. I don't think it is fair to go out and then compare Attack on Titan to it. This almost feels like an apples and oranges comparison. Seinen versus shonen. Shonens are the popular thing right now. I do think another factor that goes to this is the fact that Attack on Titan's ending wasn't very popular. That probably helps with this. Not that Naruto's ending was particularly good either. It kind of struggles for a similar reason. There's just some stuff that people don't like in it. But overall, a lot of people are more attached to Dragon Ball and Naruto because guess what? Those are actually parts of their childhood. There's a nostalgia factor involved. Torishima's philosophy was developed over the years of collaboration with Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama. He mentioned the pair's admiration for Tom and Jerry. Base! Tom and Jerry is awesome. Which, according to him, was a prime example of effective and simple storytelling. It's very simple. The cat chases the mouse. That's the story. You watch it for fun, but at the end, there's nothing to learn. Torishima argued that manga should also strive for a similar goal, prioritizing the enjoyment of the reader rather than leaving a deep, lasting impression on them. The primary objective of a work, he stated, should be to create something personal, something a person would read for fun and retain nothing. Attack on Titan, on the other hand, was one whose works had a complex and difficult storyline. Torishima felt this would alienate the readers. It's far more mature, and I would say it's probably better written than a lot of the other ones. But the other one's simple appeal does, and general kid friendliness does make for people actually taking to it more. Despite Torishima's criticism, Attack on Titan manga has been both a critical and commercial success, selling over 140 million copies. Having over 140 million copies in circulation, the manga became popular among readers specifically for its dark and mature storyline. That's another thing, is not a lot of people like the dark and gore in this. Managing to get banned in certain countries because of it. Even after the anime concluded, the franchise continued to be a major crowd puller. When author Hajime Isayama launched the new manga with Aaron's voice actor, the sales of the magazine it was published in increased dramatically, owing to the creator's return. So I think this is just someone who is kind of, I don't know, like stuck in his ways, I guess. There are legitimate reasons why people won't like Attack on Titan. I will give you that. I even said so when we did Fictionology on Attack on Titan, and said that it's not exactly like the most amazing ending. It struggles. It's the logical conclusion, but it is not a very satisfying ending. And it's darker. It's more mature. It has a much more niche audience because of that. There are a lot of reasons other than just it had a moral to it that Attack on Titan didn't do as well as the other ones. I think your comparison is BS. Anyway. Windbreaker webtoon by Young Seok Jo canceled due to confirmed plagiarism. So this isn't the manga or the anime Windbreaker. This is a Korean manhwa called Windbreaker. So the popular webtoon Windbreaker by creator Young Seok Jo has been officially canceled following confirmed allegations of plagiarism. The announcement, made jointly by Naver Webtoon and the creator, revealed that several portions of the webtoon were found to be strikingly similar or near identical to scenes and compositions from other works. The series has over 600 million views on Webtoon at the time of its airing. Naver Webtoon released a statement confirming, after an internal review and discussion with the author, they determined that the Windbreaker manuscript contained visual and structural elements too closely resembling other published materials. As a result, the platform has decided to suspend serialization and halt all services related to the work. issued a personal apology, admitting to referencing materials that resulted in unacceptably similar imagery. He acknowledged his failure to uphold creative standards amid the pressure. Um, does he even mention what he copied? I don't really care for his apologies because I felt that I had to at least give it a proper ending. The final story of Windbreaker has reluctantly been uploaded in its original form on my personal blog. Okay. So basically, that's what we're looking at. But here's a little bit of an example of the kind of thing that was plagiarized. So I looked into this one, and one of them traced panels is from Tokyo Ghoul. I don't know how he thought it'd slide under the radar. So yeah, that does seem like a blatantly traced panel. Either way, it's very interesting to see someone garner this much success off of what is effective, not effectively, what actually is plagiarism, tracing. He's just stealing someone else's work in a lot of ways. There's one thing to draw an inspiration from it. There's another thing to just rip an entire panel in and of itself. Either way, we'll move on because there's a bunch of smaller little topics to talk about. Some of them are just retardation, others not so much. So here we go. The beginning after the end author Turtle Me has responded to criticism about the anime's adaptation. While I feel there is always room for improvement, in order to not stress myself out too much, the best way to think about it is I am focused on the novel and the comic, where I can do my part to make a good story. I have to trust the producers to make the adaptation as good as they can. In other words, I'm just going to wash my hands of it and pretend that it didn't happen and just ignore it because people do not fucking like that adaptation. Kind of fucking wild. Okay, so next one to talk about. Seriously, even the author is doing his best to just wash his hands of it and move on from that adaptation. It was not good. It was not well received. Anyway, so if any of you are familiar, Elon Musk decided to make Grok a Misa Amane clone. And even put a NSFW thing into it, which you can criticize the parasocial relationship element of it, and you can talk about how okay, maybe this isn't really good for humanity to start making AI waifu companions. This may be a terrible idea and may just doom our population to permanent decline, but who knows? Some people criticize it that way. Others start calling this a child. This is corn culture. If you think normalizing and utilizing an almost childlike appearance. I'm sorry, how is this childlike again? Appearing cornified female anime character with spicy mode who strips as your AI chatbot tool does not affect how you see women or desensitize you to sexual abuse / exploitation. We are cooked. Disparu, I fucking love you, Disparu. Sometimes you come through with a really good one. If you think this is wild corn, why are you reposting it? This is the kind of thing we're dealing with. Of course, there is the other side to this whole Grok situation, which is absolutely fucking hilarious. We can go over to Nuxtaku, which, however you feel about the guy, he did repost this, and I thought it was kind of funny. Try Grok's 18 plus mode. Bring yourself to completion every night for a week. Then tell me Grok isn't alive. And tell me she's not a woman. The future is fucking amazing. Holy fuck, bro. That is a level of desperate I never thought anyone could reach. That is not something that you need to be doing right now. Seriously, though, people like the way people have responded to the whole Grok thing, but the goonerisms are going to continue on here. We do have a little bit more to talk about, and this one isn't related to Grok, but it's correct. Absolutely correct. Apparently now small tits means childlike, and I absolutely disagree with that assessment. God, people are so fucking retarded. Anyway, continuing on with the retardation. Here we go. So, Chibi, thank you for reposting this. The original post was, "My Dress Up Darling season 2 ending is just the cutest." It is a really good ending, honestly. I keep seeing so much amazing animation and just like the effort and creativity for this anime, but like it looks like it's for generic gooner slop for men, so I just can't bring myself to watch it. Bruh. I believe it's flat is justice, medium is premium, and big is best. All boobs are glorious, okay? All titties are fantastic. Insofar as this goes, I'm a huge fan of Tatsumaki, so that I'll leave that there. I needn't say why. You can go look up Murata's depictions of Tatsumaki, and you'll understand. I guarantee you. Either way, this is part of a larger trend within discourse around My Dress Up Darling. Is people keep talking about like how like Maureen's such a great character, but they sexualize her too much. We need to save her from this series. You do realize that Maureen is a female. She's a gooner too. Like she's a pervert herself. She's into this stuff. Her first cosplay is from an eroge, and she has her whole wardrobe. Well, not her whole wardrobe. She has in her wardrobe Ahego shirts. She's just as much of a perv as literally everyone watching it. And I think that brings us to one last thing on the list for tonight. And this is going to be talking a little bit about language. So let's bring this up. Hopefully, you guys can hear this properly.
I'm in Japan right now, and I finally got my hands on the English exam that everybody here studies for. And it turns out it's so much worse than I thought. This is the grade 1 vocabulary test, and let's just look at these questions. Although Caleb was excited to receive his promotion, he felt the either twinge, sprig, mandate, or bastion.
Okay, everyone, put your answers in chat. Which of these words is the proper answer?
Sadness.
Which of these words is correct? By the way, this is stuff that 14-year-old me could have figured out. So the question is, although Caleb was excited to receive his promotion, he felt a twinge of sad. I just gave it away. Fuck. It's twinge. I'm so fucking retarded. Okay, we'll move on to the next one.
The only word I know here is mandate. The coach made sure to blank the strengths of each player. She wanted to build their confidence before the next game. So the options are extol, forestall, eschew, and abhor.
Okay. Does anyone know what the answer to this one is? The coach made sure to blank the strengths of each player. She wanted to build their confidence before the next game. Any guesses? So Rolando says forestall. Biggles says extol. No answers. Anyone else? Anyone else want to take a shot at it? Jeremy says extol. This dude looks gay. That's an interesting one. So we have 2 for extol, 1 for forestall. Marcel says eschew. And now let's just, verify, because there is the chance that I could be incorrect here, but the answer, with the word meaning to praise enthusiastically, is extol. I'm very concerned here that only a couple of people are getting some of these right. Like these are easy, guys. These are really easy. But then again, I don't know how many of you are actually like native, like English is your first language. So you may get a bit of a pass.
I've never heard any of these words in my life. The new theme park has been a real blank to the area, bringing in millions of tourists every year. It's either boon, prose, tremor, or dent.
Okay. So here we go. The new theme park has been a real blank to the area, bringing in millions of tourists every year. And your options are boon, prose, tremor, and dent. Does anyone know the answer to this one? We got 3 for boon right off the bat. Jeremy Turner with boon. There you go. Okay, you know what? Congratulations, everyone got it. It's boon.
Dent. Am I stupid? People here really take this test seriously. Like, they pay big money for private tutors. And when you take English classes in Japan, they prep kids to pass this exam instead of just teaching them English. But let me know if you knew any of these answers, because apparently I don't know English.
Yeah, you never took a fucking lit class in your life, apparently. That's like the thing. It's like I read, like growing up, I was forced to read a lot of classic literature. So I'm very familiar with some of this stuff. And I happen to like to write and read. So like I'm fairly familiar with this stuff. It just miffs me that it like absolutely baffles me that so many people would like well that anyone really would look at that and be like, oh, this is so hard, look at how bad it is. Well, it fucked up. Yeah, it's wild to me that would be the case. Next time we'll all take a German test. Unfortunately, I know nothing about German. Although I would actually really like to learn, because German seems like it would be a really fun language to learn. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at tonight. I want to do that last bit because I love English. And it's just like language is something that I genuinely do enjoy. So I wanted to play a little game here and see. English is a bastard of language of a language. Yes, it is a very hard one to learn, to be entirely honest. Which is why I don't. I try not to judge people who are bilingual and English is their second language. I try not to judge them too hard on the way they do things. No, it's not. It's a horrible language to learn. Well, the harder it is, the more fun it is. Like Japanese. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up tonight with a little bit of talk. Like YouTube, like I mentioned, they changed their algorithm. So if you do not like or comment or do some form of engagement other than in viewing the video, so like share or subscribe or any of that, it doesn't count your view towards the algorithm anymore. And this is backed up by data that people have found. There's a whole lot of talk about that. So going forward, I won't beg or whatever for any of that. But if you guys would please kindly leave a like or comment on anything that you watch on my channel, it would be much appreciated. Because it will help me. Genuinely will help me. That being said, looking forward to the next couple of days, I'm going to be working pretty hard on a video essay here. And then I will be going on to talk Saturday about more and more anime. Hopefully we have a couple of other things to touch on. But that being said, I hope you have a good night. I hope you like, subscribe, all that stuff. You know, check out some of my other content. I appreciate you all showing up. You're all fantastic. And you can find me over at Crimson Lawson on Twitter if you really want to see what I'm up to at any given moment. That being said, let's close this out. You know what? We're gonna change up the outro just a bit. We'll go with this one because I haven't used it recently.